All right, Mr. Chairman, we're ready when you are.
All right, Ms. Cook, let's call the meeting to order and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord, and just observe a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Uh, let's entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of October 27th meeting.
So moved.
Second. Probably moving second. Any question on those minutes? Hearing none, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We are down to item E on our agenda. Uh, Acceptance and dedication of rights of way and easements, authorization to notify the SCDOT. The city intends to accept the maintenance of 500 linear feet sidewalk on Mutual Drive. Who's handling that? Mr. Bucci, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Chairman?
Good.
Yeah, so the 500 linear feet at Mutual Drive, the sidewalk was requested by the city using the transportation sales tax, and the project's being managed by the county. So they've asked us to take over the maintenance, which we have agreed to.
Appreciate that coordination. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move for approval.
Properly moved and
Second.
seconded. Any discussion on that acceptance? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any more ayes out there?
Aye. Sorry. We're muted.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item E2, Mr. Bucci.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So similar situation, it's sidewalk along Forest Acres Circle. This was requested by the city to provide more mobility within that area, and it would tie into the sidewalk along Forest Drive that's associated with the TRC project.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, temporary encroachments. We got a good many of them on there. Anything sticks out as being exceptional?
No, Mr. Chairman. They're
Understand.
all signs, irrigation, and there's one pop-up drainage. That's it.
All right. That's given for information. Down to H1. This is one Mr. Bucci's been practicing for explanation on the Magnolia trip wall. Probably
That-
you and Councilman McGregor only know what a trip wall is, but anyway, let's see.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I did prepare a 3-slide quick presentation for you all. If you wanted me to share my screen real quick, and I can show you, kind of educate you all on what a trip wall is. Let me see if I can pull that up. So let me quickly go to slideshow. Okay, hopefully you're all seeing my slideshow.
Yeah.
Okay. So real quickly, I think it's important to understand why the trip wall is being utilized and what is the mechanism from FEMA why it's being used. So the main thing to understand is what a limit of moderate wave action is. So that's a line that is used by FEMA and shown on flood maps that represents wave heights that are between 1.5 and 3 feet. FEMA has determined that those are the heights that could cause damage, structural damage, and they want to track them differently, and they come to different building code standards, essentially. You have to build to different standards. This figure on the top kind of shows you anything beyond that line would need to meet those standards. So we're talking coastal A zones and the VE zones. Those standards include elevating buildings on piles, posts, piers, column foundations, and anchoring those to the foundations. It also includes breakaway construction. And the big thing to know is that structural fill is prohibited within the LMWA, which is the limits of moderate wave action. So let me slide to the next one. So just a quick overview of what a trip wall is then. So the trip wall is a coastal flood structure that is used to alter that limits of moderate wave action as well as your FEMA maps so that you can then build to different standards. It must be reviewed and approved by FEMA in a letter of map revision to revise that line. FEMA does require that these coastal structures be owned by the municipality and I say it's similar to a levee simply by the fact that it is a coastal structure, but it is a very different coastal structure. It is used to trip the waves, essentially. So it's deflecting the waves. And I'll kind of go into the specifics of the Magnolia and how it's being used in that scenario. So real quickly, here's a quick map of Magnolia, and I might flip back to the second slide when I have a second. But you could see these are the proposed roads, with green being the closest to the water, and that dashed line is your trip wall. If I flip back quickly to 2, you can actually see on this image where the Limwa sits, which is the triangle line, and those roads would have been sitting in the Limwa. So with that, and knowing that you can't have structural fill, those roads would have been supported by things other than fill, potentially piles, which adds obviously to a lot of complications to city roadways. So due to the unique characteristics of the Magnolia development, this was a brownfield site. There's a waterfront park component to it that is going to be behind the trip wall, which you will have fill behind, and the proposed public road locations like I just detailed. It was determined that a trip wall was an appropriate design approach for this scenario, although may not be appropriate for all scenarios. It really is a unique case when we want to use these. The trip wall will be located between the Ashley River and that city waterfront park. That's shown kind of where the FNB label is on this plan. It will be a buried feature, so it won't be visible, but it will be acting to trip those waves. And essentially, what we are proposing is a ordinance and an maintenance and operation plan that we've been working with the developers to come to an agreement to create a reasonable and acceptable operation and maintenance plan for this structure. And this ordinance and operation and maintenance plan being presented, the operation and maintenance of the wall itself will be the full responsibility and cost of the Magnolia POA. So we've been working hard. I will mention that we are looking to adopt this ordinance and operation and maintenance plan as amended. I did detail those changes in an email to the council members prior to this meeting. The main change is we wanted to ensure that the wall was physically being inspected on a regular basis. So we added language to the ordinance and the operation and maintenance plan detailing that. So there's your 500-foot view as well as I can do. But I'm open to answer any questions you may have if more information is needed.
Any questions from the committee members?
Good proposal. Good presentation.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right. So, Madam Clerk, this is for information. We need an action step.
Yeah, so this will go to
Right.
this will go to first reading at this next council. And again, it would have to be adopted as amended based on those revisions that I highlighted.
Well, anyway, let's get a motion now.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got it moved and seconded. I see for discussion, I see Councilman Gregg has his hand up.
Thank you, Chairman. Ms. Bucci, could you just clarify? So the city's going to own this, but the cost of construction and the cost of O&M is being provided by the developer, correct?
That is correct. FEMA requires it to be owned by the municipality, which is why we are entering into this agreement to ensure that all cost responsibilities are theirs. However, they will share all operation, maintenance, repairs with us, which is required in the ordinance that we drafted.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, Councilmember Seekings has his hand up.
Councilmember Seekings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Ron. That really was an excellent presentation. But
Thank you.
following up on Councilmember Gregg's question, what happens when the developer or whatever entity it is that takes over O&M responsibilities is no longer around, no longer exists, disappears? Does that just fall back on us and that's just what's going to happen?
That is why it is believed that FEMA has set it up this way in case that were to ever happen. However, I hope and expect that would not happen in this case. It is tied to the POA itself, so someone will be still held responsible for the maintenance.
That's an important fact to know. That's helpful. So they'll be able to pay for whatever their O&M obligations are through, among other things, collecting dues that the HOA takes in.
Correct.
And I take it, is our agreement with them going to build that in, that if, for some reason they don't pay them right away, that we get a first lien on the dues to make sure it gets paid?
I may have to get with legal to dive into that to see if it's built into the ordinance itself. I'm not exactly sure on that part,
Okay,
but I will look
great.
into that.
Okay, thanks.
Good evening, Councilmember Seekings. I'm happy to help with that question. The development agreement for Magnolia provides that there will be recorded restrictive covenants describing spelling out in more detail those responsibilities of the POA. So when the time comes, that's language that we will be looking to put in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Magdalene.
All right, we'll call the question. All in favor of the trip
Aye.
wall, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I2, FEMA FMA elevation grant, formal city by owner agreement, Mr. Bucci.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So there's two separate FEMA grants being discussed here. So the FEMA FMA grant, in August 2025, it already went through council and was approved as a shorter MOA, maintenance of agreement with the homeowners, but we now have to come through for the longer city owner agreement with the property owners so that we can move forward with the grant. And the FEMA HMGP, which is just another funding source, just different funding source, has to go through the same process. So we'll enter in an MOA with the property owners and then formalize through this submittal the city owner agreement. Again, I think the main thing to stress is city funding is not being utilized for any of the projects associated with this grant. And the other thing that I just want to mention is I am looking for this to be adopted as amended. There was still some conversations with legal going on, just fine tuning the language, making it a little more clear. But one of the bigger things is we removed the requirement for a performance bond for the full project because the owner is fronting 100% of the cost. So we felt like that was appropriate in this specific scenario.
Okay. Motion,
Move for approval.
properly moved, and these seconds are getting hard to get, man.
Second.
Man,
Sorry, I keep muting
usually
myself.
it's supposed to be the other way around. The motion is supposed to be hard to get, not the second. And we probably moved and seconded. We have any more discussion or questions of Mr. Bucci? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Ayes have it. Mr. Bucci, item 3, FEMA HMG grant elevation, or you take care of the rest, the MOA.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I actually mentioned that one in my previous discussion. So it's very similar to the FEMA FMA elevation grant. It's just a different funding source. So we just had to enter a separate agreement with separate property owners.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Probably moved in.
Second.
Quick second this time.
And sorry, I did forget to mention again, this would be adopted as amended. It's exactly the same as the previous.
All right,
Thank
thank you. All right, all in favor of this MOA?
Aye.
Please say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bucci, and thank you for the preparation. J1, stormwater management update. Is that going to be Mr. Fountain?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was actually going to have Mr. Charlton Cave, who's our project manager for the project, cover this this project overview for you, if that's all right.
That's fine.
Yep. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully you can all hear me. Give me 1 second to share my screen here. All right. So I'm going to highlight the Howell Avenue Stormwater Retrofit project briefly for you all. This is located off of Howell Avenue on James Island. It's approximately equidistant between primary corridors of Maybank, Riverland Drive, and Central Park roads. This is in response to several areas along Howell Avenue and Stephan Drive that have some known flooding issues. So this project's a direct benefit to those areas, as well as a complement to other ongoing projects that we have downstream on Central Park Road. It's about 3.7 acres. It was purchased by the city using greenbelt funds. The county also agreed to contribute up to $200,000 of in-kind services. We also had up to $1 million grant from National Fish and Wildlife Foundation that came about through other successful work that we had done with them in the Church Creek Basin. This project also it went out to bid during a pretty difficult bidding environment. We didn't get bids the first go round. We adjusted our bid requirements a little bit. We got some bids. The low bid got pulled. The next highest bid was well north of $2 million. So we were able to change our approach a little bit. We effectively were acting as prime contractor, hiring subs directly and managing construction. And so along with that, the NIFWIF grant and county contribution, we were able to build this all with virtually no cost to the city. So the site is hydraulically connected to an adjacent primary channel between Howell Avenue and Stephan Drive. The first thing you'll notice is this kind of sinuous stream feature that goes throughout the site. Is connected by some large culverts on the top of the screen there. The stream feature during early stages of a larger storm event will provide an alternative lengthier flow path that slows accumulation of floodwaters downstream. And then the whole site itself is basically one big floodplain basin that will act as auxiliary overflow during larger events and add capacity to the adjacent infrastructure. So with those features, we'll see a measurable benefit to the surrounding areas. We also had a pretty large native plant package that was used for landscaping. It helps promote infiltration, root uptake, and is very maintenance friendly long-term and adds additional ecological benefits. And another important feature of the site is we have this pedestrian path that goes around the perimeter, but it's also connected to the neighborhoods on either side. And so this gives a good connection, pedestrian connection between neighborhoods and between larger arterial roads that didn't previously have safe connection. This is the site as it looks today. These are all pretty new plantings, but as this fills out, it's going to look like a pretty lush, natural looking floodplain. And one other thing I wanted to point out is, in addition to all the subcontractors and the county's help, we also had a lot of great support from the city's field ops crews. They did a lot of earthwork and fine grading. They've got some good equipment operators, and they helped tremendously. And that is about it. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Let me jump in the boat first. And so the previous picture with the neighborhood flood, this is going to give a place for that water to go?
Correct. So this is adjacent to existing infrastructure. And so the idea here is that during a larger storm event, as that infrastructure gets overwhelmed and the flood water stage up, this will offer an overflow capacity for that adjacent infrastructure. So as the water stage up, water starts to spill into here before going out into roadways and potentially in people's homes. And you did see on the previous slide, if I glossed over it, I apologize, but this is how, on these photos on the left, this is Howell Avenue directly adjacent to the site during a large event. And it's like this in multiple areas up and down Howell.
That's great. Mr. Gray, Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just hats off to our city staff. This is incredible. What a great project and innovative way to get it done. And I mean, it's an innovative technology. There's not a lot of places doing stuff like this. So good job, guys.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Agree.
Really cool. What kind of grass? That's not Spartina, is it? What is that? What kind of grasses are those?
There is some Spartina in there. It's a mixture of native plant species. Obviously, down in that wetland basin, they're going to be all species that are able to be totally inundated with water, intolerant of those conditions. And then we have also upland mixes that will eventually grow out along the pathway and along the embankments.
So how many
Got it.
acres is that? How big an area is that?
This cleared area that you see here is a little over 2.5 acres.
Okay. I know Ms. Parker's not on the committee, but I mean, this is in your area. Do you have something to say?
No, I'm here. I'm on the committee.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
this is such an incredible product that, project and product to give to not only for the flooding relief, but just for the community. I mean,
Right.
these types of projects are specifically what I think James Islanders, like to see, just these nature-based solutions to a lot of our problems. So I agree with Councilmember Greg. I mean, hats off. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Good.
guys.
Great. All right. All right. We got any more updates like this? Is G2 is going to be as good as this one?
Not quite as good as this one, Mr. Chairman, but I did want to highlight too. This one was it was a great example of where the county, the city, and the grant agencies were all able to work together to come up with a project formulation that let us build the entire project using non-traditional city funds. Right? We had Greenbelt funds and National Fish and Wildlife Foundation funds, and then county contribution from some of the labor for hauling excavated material out to the landfill was the entire cost the project covered.
That's great, man.
Also, great job by Mr. Cave, who touched on it, but we did have some pretty high construction bids early in the project because it's a strange combination of skill sets to do mass earthwork, but also landscaping. So we did kind of double down on risk and say we were going to parcel it out and project management internally, and did that for less than half of the original construction cost estimates we were getting. So worked out very, very well.
That's wonderful, especially these older neighborhoods where, stormwater planning wasn't even a thought when they were built, Come back with a solution like that. You have a ballpark on what did this cost?
Oh, let's see. Tarleton, I would say we were probably at something, not counting the acquisition, the original land acquisition, probably around, with the county contribution, maybe 750,000.
What?
Yep, that's about right.
Man, that's front pocket money. Great. That's
Yeah,
great.
the original land acquisition was right around $500,000, I think,
Yeah, but still,
in both funds.
that's great.
So,
All right, any final input on that? Great job, everybody. J2 update on Cooper and Jackson drainage project.
yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. This came up. We had a grant application discussion to previous committee. We had a few council members ask just kind of for some context. Wanted to make sure we haven't talked about this one as much recently. Just a very brief overview of the project and the current approach. Cooper Jackson drainage. These are the basins that kind of make up the Upper East Side, near Lee Street, America, Aiken, Morrison. Kind of pictures of flooding, typical flooding in this area. We finished our preliminary design work. We're looking at a phased construction option, which is what we talked about with that grant approach, partially so we could phase out a couple of different grant options between an economic development agency grant that we're looking at, which was what came to council, Public Works Utilities Committee at the last Public Works Utilities Committee meeting, and will come to council. That would be under like a federal economic grant where we look at using the ports potentially as a beneficiary. It's a more complex grant structure where you have like basically a private industry beneficiary that enables you to do public infrastructure project work to support economic development in the area. That we think that would work really well with the Morrison corridor in the phase one of the project, which would be improvements to the outfall under Morrison, which would let you tie in the future improvements to Aiken and America into this big outfall improvement, which is one of the more expensive parts of the project. And then also line in some Morrison Drive improvements to help reduce that flooding duration on Morrison. This is the most straightforward portion of the project from a utility perspective and permitting perspective. So we're looking at potentially doing that as a phase one to the project. And then phase two, working with the South Carolina Office of Resilience to add in the upstream improvements, basically along Lee Street, Aiken Street, America Street, to help drain out the flooding in those areas. the whole project's that is a much more complex utility relocation project that we're working with CWS on, as well as our vendor, looking at possibly going design build. That we're still looking at options for delivery mechanisms to help kind of buy down that risk of the utility conflict work and bring in a contractor for some utility locating on pre-construction services. This project lines up really well with the South Carolina Office of Resilience. It's looking for ways to improve drainage, especially in housing areas of housing, especially low to moderate income. So again, trying to layer in some different funding sources. That's the approach we're looking at right now. Kind of this two-phase style, possible design bid build on phase one because of the simplicity, and design build on phase two to help buy down risk. Depends on whether those grant applications are successful, of course. But any questions, happy to address. Just want to give a little bit more context from we're having these discussions.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have added, all this will be built for the potential for a future pump station to be added in, not part of this initial project, but it will likely be part of any future battery extension work in this area. And if not, at some point for future sea level rise conditions, we'd want to have the ability to do a pump station to help with drainage. This project will help drain out the flooding much quicker. It will help prevent it from flooding at low tides, but at a very high tide with heavy rain, like in a hurricane event, you would still expect to see some initial flooding.
Don't we have some funding already identified for some of this?
We do, Mr. Chairman. We've added some Cooper River Bridge TIF funding into this project, and then we're looking to basically leverage that funding with these two different grant agencies to help fund the project out.
All right, great. Any input from committee members?
It's just another really good project that our team's working on. This one's really cool.
Oh yeah,
Amazing.
finally getting some solutions to some of these drainage
Yeah.
basins. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Fountain. Appreciate the detailed information. Now miscellaneous business discussion regarding Charleston water system possible rate increase. Council Lady Parker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to put it on the agenda.
Sure.
So I know a while back they came to council and chatted about the Low Country Rapid Transit. I did get a lot of information from CWS that answered a lot of my questions, but since we have two board members on this committee, and I just figured it would be a good to talk about it. From what I understand, y'all made the rate plan in 2024. I'm sorry.
Right.
So each year we're seeing a little bump. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so 26 is going to be sort of that final bump for all of the capital improvements, or?
No, I think some of them go beyond that. Now when that rate plan was entered into, that was before Rapid Bus Transit.
Yeah.
It was primarily for something called Forever Chemicals, where we get these we meaning CWS gets these mandates from EPA on basically cleaning our drinking water better. Okay. It's an unfunded mandate. So they tell you have to come up to these standards, but they don't send any revenue with it. The only place to get the revenue, obviously, is from the customers. Everybody calls them ratepayers, but I like to call them customers because that's what we are. And they want these extra standards, not only for drinking water, but also for the wastewater. And given really short periods of time to get these fixes in place. So we basically had a 5-year plan to kind of come up with the money for the capital improvements to be able to deliver and within the guidelines of EPA and DHEC, yeah.
And that comes from the federal level?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So is that covered in this sort of this final 26 rate increase, or?
It's in there. And the part about Rapid Bus Transit, that's that's really not in there. That's going to have to be added too, because it comes to about a 7% rate increase, I think, overall, for this year, I think. And if we have to put in, I think Rapid Bus Transit came to another 3%, which would basically bump it 10% on your water bill, and it doesn't go away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how everyone, I mean, I understand this is sort of, I don't want to say it's not our job. I mean, it certainly is. I mean, obviously the letters from CWS, I mean, if they had to bond for some of these projects, I mean, I think the city does need to approve it. So I think it's a relevant topic to, discuss here in Public Works. And look, I'll be honest, I feel like I'm coming at this more from a citizen perspective and just happen to be on city council, right? I mean,
Right.
I think it's prudent that we understand what this rate increase means and what what it means for our customers. I won't shy away either from saying that when it comes to Charleston Water System, we all know where Plum Island is. And if you don't, it's
Yeah.
right across, it's right across the river on James Island. It's right here. We get to enjoy it, if that's what we want to call it.
Yeah.
We get to deal with the smell and the trucks and the well, all the things that come, and the some of the overflows and things like that. So I think it's a fair question, just as we're seeing so many more units come on. I mean, this has been a concern for my constituents for a long time. I know they've done some great capital projects over there. They had a big expansion they did have some smell mitigation solutions that they were coordinating, and they came to James Island and gave a great presentation. But again, I mean, we have a ton of units coming online from all over Long Savannah, Canehoy. I mean, it's coming. I always to James Island, but but I also just speak for all of our water customers that when I say, the rate increases, I mean, we can always justify a rate increase, right? Or a tax increase. I mean, I can always justify my spending by just needing more money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just think like you're saying is it's 7%. I mean, they gave me some initial numbers, approximately 23 cents per day. I just think anytime there's a rate increase, it should be, I think CWS has done a great job at, obviously justifying it, but I know that y'all, our Board of Commissioners, I know that they're probably doing their best. I mean, they're combating salaries, employment, just like we here at the city have. But, I'm just concerned that we're going to continue to see as these, just like Low Country Rapid Transit, if items like that keep bumping it, the cost, the burden is on us as the tax paying citizen, the customer. So I know we probably don't have anyone from CWS here, but I didn't know if maybe what you might consider, just moving forward, or with our customer base, explaining the rate.
I just wanted to make a point. I didn't mean to interrupt Councilwoman Parker, but in terms of having somebody from CPW, Liz was telling me that Mike Sia was trying to attend this meeting and could answer a lot of these questions in more detail. And he's offered to come to our next meeting. He just couldn't get his schedule cleared to come to this. So just want to make that point, and he did offer to come in and address a lot of these questions.
Okay. Yeah. And he answered a ton of my questions, which really helped. I mean, I certainly, to my own fault, I thought the rate increase was coming for just 26. I didn't realize it had been approved, and we'd been seeing, I mean, I obviously always see my water bill go up, but as a family of 5, that's pretty normal. But I didn't realize that it had already sort of been in the works. But yeah, Mike had answered a lot of questions. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what the committee thinks, or if this is relevant to anyone else. But me or my district. But I genuinely share a little concern and hope that they can sort of break it all down for us. I mean, 23 cents a day sounds good, but these projects span everywhere. I mean, Councilmember Waring, I mean, Dorchester County, I mean, right, am I right about this? I mean,
Well, you're right. No, listen, if you think it affects us, it's also going to affect our wholesale customers, which, North Charleston is the largest customer of CWS. I mean, that's public information. And because there's a higher rate when you're outside the city than being inside the city. So, but, if you don't, it was gut-wrenching to vote and pass these things because it was felt as being tremendously unfair, for the government to come down with all these additional guidelines and not come up with at least a partial solution on how to pay for it. And it's particularly punitive on larger water utilities, water and sewer utilities. Some of the smaller ones don't even have to comply, but CWS is in the category that they do. So anyway, so believe me, it is not for pay raises and things like that. It's to the extra chemicals, the extra equipment, the extra testing. Again, and if you don't do it, then your licensure to be in business is particularly threatened.
Sure. And okay,
You're going to get a consent decree if we don't do this stuff.
Yeah, go ahead,
I guess the other thing I'd say is, I work with utilities all over the country. I would put CWS up there in the top tier is their ability to manage capital projects efficiently and operate the system efficiently. We're incredibly fortunate to have such a great utility. And I know it seems like a lot of money, but remember, you're getting drinking water and wastewater provided to you at a pretty good price. As far as when you look at the things that you pay for, I mean, this is the most important, this and electricity. So, what happens if you don't do this stuff is you get slapped with a consent order or a consent decree from the EPA, and that's far more expensive than managing it proactively, which is what Charleston Water System is doing right now. The type of infrastructure that they're talking about on the drinking water side and on the wastewater side is incredibly expensive. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars for these projects at Plum Island and at Hanahan. So, I mean, it is what it is. I hate to say that, but there's really no way around it. And the only thing I could tell you is, if the federal government would stop handing down unfunded mandates, we might be able to avoid some of this. If you read through that, the PFAS memo that the Charleston Water System put out, we're spending something on the order of $10 to $15 million a year to reduce the background concentration of PFAS to 2 parts per trillion. I mean, that's insignificant, but it's incredibly expensive on a part per trillion basis. So again, unfunded mandates from the federal government that really have no basis in science, I think is also problematic. And I'll end it with that.
Well, and on that point, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying don't comply. So just let me make that very clear.
No, I hear you, but I'm just telling you we don't have a choice, and the mandates aren't based on any real evidentiary science. It's somebody just at the EPA sort of arbitrarily decided this is what the number is going to be.
Well, quickly, just on that point, just to touch on it, Councilmember Waring, I mean, did CWS, I'm sure they did. I mean, what type of efforts have we made at the federal level to kind of, combat any of that?
I think utility companies collectively has appealed to the national level.
Every utility in the country has been appealing
on that change. And then Frankly, hey, we nonpartisan, and I'm a Democrat. But boy, I was sure hoping the Trump administration would cut back on some of these seriously EPA mandates.
Yeah.
And I think they've delayed some, but no real serious reduction yet. Anyways.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'll add this last thing. A lot of people go around. I get this with my family all the time, but I didn't know this prior to getting involved with CWS. But we go around buying bottled water. Did you realize that the water out of your tap is cleaner than the water in the bottled water that you get from the convenience store or from Harris Tea or wherever it is? Our water from CWS is cleaner than that. And see, another thing you ever think about, how long does that water sit up in that plastic bottle in the wherever it's stored? The plastic begins to break down. But anyway, enough
Full
of
of PFAS, right? No.
yeah, PFAS, boy. I wish I'd never heard of that thing.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all entertaining this conversation. Again, just coming from obviously everything's rising. It was just more of an understanding, and I'll talk some more with Mike and if he needs to come, if anyone has any more questions. I mean, I had most of them answered. I still, he's probably able to share it with me, but if the public is, still concerned, or, it might be time to just for James Island to have I don't think we have an intergovernmental again, but maybe I can just advise them to sort of share it with our James Island customers and what's going on with some of the capital projects that were done at Plum Island to help remedy some of the
That's one thing
problems.
CWS is. I mean, they're really customer friendly. They'll go out and
Yeah,
speak
no,
to the public.
they're incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody there.
And you
I don't
want to
know.
share this information. They do.
Yeah. Mr. Klein is no longer there. Is that correct?
He retired in June.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a new.
Yeah, Wesley Ropp,
Okay.
ROPP.
Okay.
He was
Well, I appreciate.
He was CFO that progressed up to CEO.
Okay. Well, thank you again. Thanks, Councilmember Waring. Thanks all.
All righty. Any final input?
All good.
All right, man. Look forward to seeing all tomorrow.
Councilmember Waring. Sorry.
Yeah,
One
sure.
more thing.
Sure.
Will we? I
Oh,
know we
yeah.
have a visit.
I did have one issue. Mr. Fountain still on?
Man dropped.
Ooh.
Think he left the meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Well, anyway, I'll circle with him outside the meeting, see if he can forward an update on the small projects list, for that's going to be in this budget for stormwater. So
Okay.
I intended on asking that before he left, but anyway, I'll circle with him shortly.
Mr.
Maybe we
Mayor,
can put
do you
something
know,
out.
or have they come up with the small project allocation list?
I know there's a list out there, so let me reach out to him and maybe he can push something out by email to us. Have any
Okay.
questions, follow up with him tomorrow at the meeting.
Okay. Appreciate
Okay.
it.
All righty.
Thank you.
All right. Look forward to seeing